We all have hobbies. Some folks like to hunt, fish, play golf, go camping, even fly airplanes. A few years ago, I ran across a farmer from Haywood County named Wes Evans. He was doing pottery. I was intrigued by his work. So back in the fall of 2021, my wife asked if I'd like to take a 12-week pottery class. I agreed. I joined her and some friends at BellTower Coffeehouse and Studio on Highland in Memphis. This place has a great vibe and is a dream come true for co-founder Micah Dempsey. So how many coffee shops in Memphis have a pottery studio?
0. We don't know of one that exists.
The coffee and food side has a steady stream of customers, while on the pottery side, lessons are being taught and artisans come to perfect their skills. BellTower is the perfect place to take a pottery class, do a project with friends, or even the perfect date night.
We teach all kinds of basic introduction classes to the wheel that are about 2 hours long, private classes throughout the week, and every Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, we've got groups of people coming in, almost always with no experience, who haven't touched clay ever or maybe since elementary school. And they come in and they learn how to shape pieces on the wheel. We teach a mug making class. People come in and make like a 12-ounce mug. We teach an intro class where they make 3 smaller, like succulent planer spoon rest sized pieces. That's kind of just for the experience, to come in and try something. We also teach intermediate classes, like our month-long class, where people actually come in for about 24 hours of teaching in the studio. And it's kind of this how to be a little potter kind of class with the goal of kind of developing the hobby.
And what's the toughest part of doing pottery?
Yeah, the toughest part of wheel throwing by far for almost everyone is centering. It is the process of taking this ball of mud that you've formed, putting it on a wheel and getting it to be perfectly centered, to get it to spin as a perfect circle so you can actually work on that piece symmetrically.
Micah and his team make it easy for people like me.
If Tim Simpson can do it, trust me, you can do it.
If you've ever thought about adding a hobby or just doing something that is relaxing and therapeutic, this is definitely a great and affordable option.
I am a retired ER physician from Le Bonheur, where I worked for 30 years. And I took this class, a 2-hour introductory class like you did, and fell in love and basically became addicted.
And the difference between being a hospital physician and doing pottery?
Nobody died, and I'm not getting sued.
Once the clay is formed into a specific piece, it sits on a shelf to dry.
Yeah, so all the shelves you find in our studio are one of 3 things. They're either wholesale mugs we have in progress in the front, classwork we have in progress in the back, and everything in between are studio member spaces. And so everything behind me here are people's shelves, some of our studio members who come in and work on their own projects whenever they want to. The experience ranges on these shelves from someone who's been into pottery for a couple of weeks to several decades.
Eventually, all pottery pieces end up here in the kiln room.
So this supremely amateur piece here is this piece is greenware, so it's clay that was made and is mostly dry. Whenever I touch the back of my hand or my cheek to it, it still has just a little bit of chill. It's just a little cold, and that means it has just a bit of water left in it. It'll do its last bit of drying back here in the kiln room where it gets pretty warm. And from here, this guy will go into the bisque fire, it'll be glazed, it'll go into the glaze fire, and it comes out just like this.
Pottery classes are just one aspect of this side of the business. BellTower has a thriving commercial pottery footprint as well.
So we've got a team of 6. We make about 250 mugs a week with companies' logos on the side, nonprofits, universities, for them to retail, fundraise with, to gift in a whole bunch of different capacities.
The story of how this business started is intriguing, and it speaks to the dreams and work ethic of the owners.
So way back in high school, I took a 3D art class with a friend of mine that we really enjoyed, started selling some pottery in high school, and we got to college and I got bored after a couple weeks. He got bored after about a year or so of school there, and we started renting a storage unit that we turned into a dinky little pottery studio. Filled 5-gallon drums of water up in our dorm room showers and started making pots for people again. Over the course of the last 5-6 years or so, we have turned that storage unit studio into BellTower. Back in 2017, when we had actually officially started BellTower, After my first year, his second year of college, we opened up a pop-up shop that was a coffee shop and a pottery studio out in one of the little shops in Minglewood Hall to just try this crazy business model we'd come up with back in high school. Back in that pottery class, we joked back and forth that one day we would hit our midlife crisis and quit whatever corporate jobs we got bored at and open up a coffee shop and a pottery studio where we could make everything that we served out of, and everything would just revolve around the creative economy that we had already grown to love. Ended up convincing ourselves over the course of the summer that the business model worked. We moved over to South Highland, where we were at for several years before COVID, and kind of turned ourselves into an actually real business from that pop-up shop, just kind of playing around with things we enjoyed, to actually trying to do it professionally and intentionally with a real staff of people that with training and that kind of stuff.
Then COVID hit.
We had just invested the little bit of cash we had saved up to start adding food to our coffee menu. COVID hit and we did not have a lot left in savings. We kind of had no idea what to do. We had decided to permanently close. Unfortunately, weren't going to be able to reopen. We were both getting married to our now wives in the few months after that. We closed BellTower. We started the process of selling all the equipment and the stuff we had accumulated and got other jobs. So I was at FedEx throwing boxes, and for whatever reason, that just didn't have the glamour and the fun of running BellTower. We ended up with the opportunity to sell about a third of the business. And we moved a few doors down the Highland Strip. We added the restaurant to what we do. Reopened here in November of 2020. And so we were closed for 6-7 months during COVID, but reopened in November. And so now a year and a half running from there, we're back to the most fun, best spot we've ever been in.
So if you're looking to take up a new hobby, check out BellTower Coffeehouse and Studio in Memphis.
Yeah, so BellTower is at 525 South Highland Street, right across the street from the University of Memphis. The studio, we teach 5 or 6 classes every week, almost always in the evenings, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. We'd love for you guys to come by, grab a cup of coffee with a friend, try a class out, and try to learn a new hobby maybe.